So then after November 6th, things are pretty quiet up until the 20th when we get releases. Actually, in terms of games, if the calendar here is right, based on what was announced and featured in that direct, Hyrule Warriors is the main and only game, first party game from Nintendo that month. After that, on the 20th, we are getting two Amiibo, Kirby and Warp Star, and Bandana Waddle Dee and Winged Star. And the talking point for these is not like, oh, they're cute, they're so great, I can't wait. It's the price. Here in the States at least, I've seen some conversion comparisons and stuff. It's clear that our prices are impacted. They're being impacted by tariffs. Amiibo overall have gone up in price, probably to offset the losses they're going to face here in this market because of tariffs. But even then, we still get another roughly $10 upcharge compared to other countries for all these various products and accessories and stuff. So our Amiibo for Kirby and Bandana Waddle Dee, and probably all these other ones too, are $10 more than in other regions. And that puts them at $50 a pop. And that's a lot. That's almost a freaking, that's more than most indie games for sure. Like great, amazing indie games for these little figures. But the thing is, the mind of a figure collector, it's a different place. Like it's a place I'm not familiar with because I'm not one of those people. I've got one figure that I'm really proud of. The others, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think I needed those. The one I got that is the little Nendoroid Guardian from Breath of the Wild. I still think it's a perfect purchase. Like it's a great figure. But otherwise, there are people out there who spend hundreds of dollars on a single figure. They don't blink. They're like, nope, I wanted this. I'm glad I paid for it. And they wait too. Like a lot of times the shipping for these are international and it takes months. At no point during that do they go, maybe I shouldn't have gone in and cancel it or return it. Like they're like, oh yeah, took months, was waiting, a bated breath. It finally got here. And I'm so happy. I'm not one of those people. I don't really see the value in any of these figures and statues and even Amiibos. Like I wasn't big on Amiibos then when they first announced them, and at no point did that really change. But other than the Samus and Viola Amiibo, yeah, that's got me thinking, might have to nestle away a few acorns for that one. But also that Winged Star one specifically with Bandana Waddle Dee. Not because I like Bandana Waddle Dee, but because I love Kirby Air Ride. And that's kind of where this will lead to. Actually, when does Kirby... Oh, I don't have it marked here? Oh, crap. No, never mind. My bad. Give me a sec here. Kirby Air Ride does come out in November. Oh, the same day. Okay. Alright, correction. These Amiibo launch alongside Kirby Air Riders. I'm so dumb. I messed up here and forgot to put Kirby Air Riders. Yes! November's a big one. We get a new Hyrule Warriors game, which is a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom. So it's very exciting for that reason. And we get a sequel to a game that seemingly I'm learning this as of, since announcement and stuff, that not a lot of people care about as much as I do. And that's Kirby Air Ride. That is a core childhood memory. Like me and my cousins used to play City Trial all the time. And again, people have been throwing around critiques and just dismissiveness that, it grinds my gears a bit when I hear it, because I like that game a lot. Like I genuinely liked it as a multiplayer game when it comes to City Trial and stuff, but also as a racer. I don't remember it being underwhelming or bad as a racer. And those theories were confirmed when I revisited it a month ago. I haven't gone back, but I do want to... I'm hoping it gets onto GameCube NSO at some point, or... I kind of stopped because I'm like, I want to play this one portably. Like I want to have Kirby Air Riders portably because that's a good based on the original game, how I played and what I've played, that's a good one to have like that, because it's good to jump in and just do a few things. And I'll get into those in a bit right now. And give a soft review for Kirby Air Ride in discussion of Kirby Air Riders. So first off, with the Amiibo, that's a lot. Like $50 for each Amiibo. I mean, I know you're technically getting two, because you can take off the Kirby and the Bandana D, and you can kind of just have them doing whatever separately. But that's still a lot. And again, I'm not one of those people that's like a diehard Amiibo person or just a figure collector, so the value of those is not really there for me. But maybe when they're on sale, they drop down to 40 or 30. That's kind of the narrative, honestly, with me and Nintendo's pricing on all their stuff lately. Most of it, I'm like, when it's on sale. Age of Imprisonment, even, I'm not diving in day one. I'm gonna need to know from Zelda fans and people and reviews and stuff if it lives up to our expectations when it comes to story and lore. Like, I'm not ready to just go in there for 70. I don't love Warriors games that much. I don't really love most games 70, like enough to pay $70 for them at launch. And I'm even wrestling with that when it comes to Kirby Air Riders, because like I said, I revisited Kirby Air Ride very recently and was pleasantly surprised. Like, honestly, all these people were sowing doubt in my heart. Like, oh man, was Kirby Air Ride actually not good? Everybody's saying it was, underwhelming or, forgettable and stuff. And I'm like, maybe it was just City Trial and that's all it had going for it. No, that's not the case at all. As a racing game, it's actually very interesting and a lot of fun. And I wish I had made more notes about it, since I am now just going to give it a sort of informal review. When it comes to the racing specifically, people undersell how much fun it is to try and master and get used to the different wings, because they really do play differently from each other. And it could make replaying the game fun, because you could go through all the courses and do your best with time trials and all that stuff with just one wing type, and then go over to another. And that's actually something I'm not sure of, if they're gonna have variations within the different classes, because damn it, I hate that I didn't prepare for this review. Give me a second. Yeah, from what I'm seeing here and what I played during my brief stint with it around a month ago, these machines have very different properties from each other. It's not simply, oh yeah, this one has slightly better turning or whatever. Like, when you go from the Warp Star to the Wagon Star to the Swerve Star, you are jumping in to very different play styles. And I was surprised at how different they are and how much they affect the experience and how much replayability they add, especially in conjunction with the thing that we haven't seen yet from Kirby Air Riders that I'm hoping we see in the next direct, and I need to see it, is the single player offering. Because frankly, here's my doubts or my worries with Kirby Air Riders as it stands. One, apparently not a lot of people have a nostalgia for it, so the player base that they're tapping into is either faded out of gaming entirely, has either died because it's been so long, or is not interested in it at all because of the climate we're in, where we've gotten 2 racing games already. As of this recording and release, Sonic Cross Worlds has come out, and that was a goddamn surprise. Like, I'm so glad that they did that network test, because that turned out to be a very convincing factor, and it's something that actually built up hype for that. Because honestly, before Sonic Cross Worlds, I totally didn't know and was checked out of the fact that they were releasing racing games. Like, I know that I've seen Sonic in a freaking car before, but like, that's all. That's like the full extent of it. Like, I never paid attention to previous Sonic racing games. The last one I cared about was Sonic Riders, where they're all using the if that's what it's called, I think is it Riders, where they're using the hoverboards, and that was back in the GameCube days too. So along with Kirby Air Riders and stuff. So like, Sonic came out, Sonic Cross Worlds, made a splash, and for some I don't know how many the percentage, but a lot of people are liking it more than Mario Kart World, which also came out. And for Nintendo fans, people who own the Switch 2 and are likely and are the only people that can get Kirby Air Riders, they have a kart racer already. A lot of them got it bundled in with their Switch 2 purchase for $50. And remember that. They got it for $50. And it's Mario Kart World, right? It's got this whole open world experience, and you can go and explore and do all these little P-switch puzzles and find these other things and doodads out in the environment, along with Knockout Tour and all that other stuff. So they're entering a crowded space when it comes to kart racers. Also, Garfield Kart 2 came out. Apparently, it's a bit of a letdown, unfortunately. But that's also there. So like the racing genre has the fans of that genre, they have been serviced quite well already this year. And even Sakurai playfully, alluded to it during the first direct. He's like, yeah, you really want me to make a kart racer? Isn't this just like Mario Kart? He kidded. And it really was a joke though, because I haven't played Mario Kart World. I have played a lot of Mario Kart though. In my days. I still like Kirby Air Riders better than all of them. I mean Air Ride. Like in the brief bit I played of the original in my revisit last month, I was like, oh yeah, I like this way better than Mario Kart. And it's not just because of the variability in the play styles that the different wings give you, but also because the way they handle power-ups. So the really cool thing about power-ups is that you're playing as different, you're just Kirby. Like the big thing about Air Riders is you can now play as a bevy of different characters from the Kirby series, and they all have the copy ability though, which is strange. Like Meta Knight can now copy things like Kirby can. It's all very funny because Sakurai's just like, hey, it's my IP. I could do these things if I want, all right? Freaking DDD can now do copy. That's great. But yeah, in the original game, everybody's Kirby, and I guess at some point you can unlock Meta Knight in DDD. I forgot about that. But for the most part, for most of the experience, you're playing as a different colored Kirby. Kirby can copy. So the way they handle items in this kart racer, quote unquote, is different from Mario Kart. In Mario Kart, the items are in place and will always be at the same place on the track on every lap. Right? And maybe that changes in certain games or certain tracks or whatever. But for the most part, they're just the item boxes. They're spinning around. They're stationary. They're sitting in place. With Kirby Air Riders, that's not the case. Kirby can have items and can get items and upgrades and use them to attack his opponents on the race course. But you get them kind of at sort of random times and at different times on each lap. And I think from race to race, it can be different too. So they introduce a good amount of variability on that front because these are characters. Like Kirby copies characters. He's not hitting item boxes in this game. They could have done that, but they didn't. So like you'll be racing and like I think the Sword Knight guy, for instance, he'll appear on the track or you'll come up on him and he's like riding on his own hoverboard or star or warp star of some sort. And he'll attack you usually if you get too close. But if you want, you can swallow him up and copy him. And this is how it is during the course of all these races where it's like you can copy up different little enemies that you can't absorb and use as powers. You just shoot them out again at players and damage them and slow them down for a second. But it all happens sort of randomly. And again, these enemies are moving. They're alive. These are real like creatures and characters. So they're on the racetrack, they're moving. Sometimes if it's like the Waddle Dees, they'll run out of the way as they see the kart racers coming. So like, it's a very different pacing and vibe. And specifically with pacing, like a lot of these tracks most of the tracks are very short. So like, there's this like speed that plays a part in it. You're never really stopping. Even when you get hit and stuff, the cart keeps moving. And again, like with this one, it's one button. So he took the acceleration out of it. So your star is always moving. So there's always this emphasis on momentum and chaos. Like the chaotic energy of Smash Brothers is captured perfectly in Kirby Air Ride. These races are very eventful and very like high energy throughout. It's like the opposite of Mario Kart World. People are like, some people don't like those interstitial areas where it's like you're just driving on these highways, these long, just normal real world highways to get from one track to the other. With Kirby, the tracks are tight and the action is constantly changing. You got these enemies running around the course and stuff like that and moving around and stuff, and they're fighting you and you're trying to copy them to fight your other end, the actual racers, and the racers are all driving different cars. So you got one guy on a wing who's just like flying above everybody else, and then you got another guy on the freaking tank thing that's just like bashing through it all. Like there's this interesting, unique energy to Kirby Air Ride that I don't really think is kind of captured well in Mario Kart. Even though Mario Kart is chaotic, it's not really, I don't know. It has a different momentum and energy than Kirby Air Ride does. And it's unfortunate that they kind of let the series die. Honestly, I'm surprised still that this is happening. Like, I consider this a dead series because they never showed any intention of continuing it. I don't remember there being any rumors of a potential sequel down the line. It was just like, yeah, here you go. Here's a Kirby kart racer type game, and that was it. Like they've never really nurtured that property. So for a lot of people, this is the first time they're seeing Kirby in a racing game like this, right? So it's really an uphill battle for this sequel to find success. And I think that that's one element of it, where it's a forgotten franchise, kind of like Donkey Kong, and how the last 3D Donkey Kong was 20 years ago. So that's not really a thing that people are experienced with and have a lot of love and nostalgia for. And two is the price. We're in the era of real price variability. Like before Doug Bowser had uttered those infamous words, price variability has been a thing in gaming. And we go from now $80 and also these bundles which go upwards of $100 to $0. And the thing is, with that direct, they really only emphasize the multiplayer aspects of Kirby Air Riders. And that's cool. That's fine. Like I said, a lot of my core memory of the GameCube is Kirby Air Ride and playing City Trial endlessly with my cousins. But the thing is, you're kind of hurting the online health and potential of Kirby Air Riders by creating such a high barrier of entry for it. You're charging $70? Like, I get it. I get their thought process behind charging $70 for a lot of this, because it's earned. It really is. Like, if an indie game came out and nobody had ever heard of it or played it before and was charging $70, you'd be releasing it to die. Right? Because these things are just kind of earned. You're paying kind of for the brand name at this point. That's why they can do that. They can get away with that. And they're testing the waters now with this generation to see how far they can get away with when it comes to pricing. And while Kirby maybe can get away with that with like a Forgotten Land 2 or something like that, a game that did really well actually and reviewed well and overall is just a fantastic game, that's a known property now. Kirby Forgotten Land 2, I think would do okay at 70. I think they'd all do better at 50, 60 for obvious reasons, but Nintendo wants to go 70. But the thing is, I don't think this is the game to do that. One, because you're trying to nurture and foster a strong online space, and that requires having a lot of people in it. And that's the reason why Fortnite has found success, and now Rocket League as in the free-to-play model, and Destiny 2 and all that has found success, because you lowered the barrier to entry to allow as many people as possible to get into it and make it a healthy, fun space to be in. Because if you're online and you're just playing bots, you know it, right? It's kind of obvious. You can tell when you're playing a bot versus you're playing a human. And for a lot of people, that's not fun for them. It's fun to a degree, like with the cups in Mario Kart. Like obviously you're going against computers, but it's a different experience from going online and playing with your friends, against strangers. There's a different satisfaction to it that comes to beating another human being at the same game you're playing. And they risk not having that element when you charge that much for an experience, people are so unfamiliar with, and for an experience that would really benefit from a lower price tag because it has a lower barrier to entry and would allow more people to be in the lobbies. And I'm just worried for the game's health and longevity, right? Like the quality of the game is, there's no doubt here. It's Sakurai, he's directing it. It's going to be rife with content, and it's going to be well polished like all his other games are, and tons of fun. It already looks ready to go. Like they could have probably released it after that direct, to be honest. I'm just worried, based on the first direct, if this game is really just going all in on multiplayer, which I'm pretty sure it's not, but as of now, we don't know for sure if it is or isn't. All they've shown is multiplayer stuff and how cool and fun that is. If that's all it has to offer, then even as a big fan of the original, who has been reminded of how good and fun the original is after replaying it recently, I don't see the value of it at 70, even for me, because I'm not a big online multiplayer guy, and I would definitely get more playtime out of it online still. I get some good playtime. But really the thing about the original Kirby Air Ride that was surprising, that I forgot about, was the single player offering. One thing that was surprising, that there is a total lack of a Grand Prix or championship mode of any kind. There's nothing. Like there's Air Ride, you go in there and you just pick a course and you race. That's it. You can race on your own against computers, or you can race against, people multiplayer locally. Then there's Top Ride, which I, again, totally forgot about. It's a top-down mode where you see the whole track on the screen at all times. You've played probably a game like this before, but you ride on a course and yeah, you just look it up and see how it looks and plays. And I liked it. It was pretty fun. And then there was City Trial. Those are the three modes. City Trial does not have a campaign of any kind. Top Ride doesn't have a campaign of any kind. And Air Ride also does not have Grand Prix or Cups or anything. It even has a limited roster of tracks too. I think it's like 8 or 10 or something like that. Which again, in a post Mario Kart 8 Deluxe world, feels very small and not the amount of tracks you'd want to see in a game you're paying $70 for. So we didn't see a lot of single player content in that first direct. But luckily they confirmed a second direct, and I think that's the one, hopefully, where they flesh out the single player offering, because again, I'm actually really worried about the longevity of this game's multiplayer component because of that high barrier to entry and that sort of, it feels like a lukewarm response to it overall, from the lack of nostalgia and the lack of familiarity with it, because it's a dead franchise and has been one. So yeah, I just alluded to it. There's a checklist in the original Kirby Air Ride. And this is something Sakurai implemented in other games of his, specifically Smash Brothers Brawl and Smash Brothers Ultimate, and maybe 4 and Wii U. I don't remember for that one, but for sure, like basically with these checklists, or in those games, whatever they're called, Brawl and stuff, you're given objectives you could chase. They're kind of like achievements, but they're told to you ahead of time, like what to do. I guess achievements do that too, for the most part. They show you what you can do to get them. But it's kind of like that. Like it's built in-game achievements that give you something to do in lieu of a Grand Prix or a Cup mode or something like that. So in Kirby Air Ride, you get one for each game mode. There's a checklist, a big square with a bunch of little squares in it for Air Ride. There's one for City Trial, and then there's a whole nother one for Top Ride, I think. So he does provide, in that way, single player content to add replayability to the offline experience. And I actually think it's really cool. Do I think it totally replaces or negates the need for a traditional racing campaign? No. I mean, Sakurai's done a great job in previous Smash games with cutscenes and those trailers and stuff. Like, I would love it if it had a full-blown campaign that had cutscenes and stuff like that and was much more fleshed out and just existed compared to what was in Kirby Air Ride, which was nothing. So hopefully we get That's what I'm looking for in the next direct. That would justify for me, as a diehard fan of the original, the $70 price tag and make it worthwhile. Because honestly, if it doesn't have a Grand Prix or Cup mode or story mode, or at the very least, the checklist system that gave you these random things to do and chase and stuff like that, I I I'm not interested. Like, it's not a day one for me anymore because it just doesn't justify the $70 price. Like, I'm gonna go online a few times, play with friends and family, and that's it. Like, I most of my gaming is offline. It's single player content. So yeah, I would love to do all the multiplayer stuff again and relive those memories on City Trial, but not for $70. Not day one. So yeah, that's really all I'm looking for and waiting for, because I otherwise, in terms of the gameplay itself, like I said, revisited it. I love the way it controls. I love the conceit behind not having to press the gas, because you really don't need to. And some of the cars or machines, they use that idea in interesting ways, where there's like Swerve Star I mentioned, for instance. That one, when you press A, it stops completely, dead in its tracks. So to turn, you literally turn while you're stopped, and then it shoots off like it has 100 acceleration. It immediately hits top speed again. But you can't drift. You just turn. You stop, turn, stop, turn. So like and the Wing Star, if you bounce off the floor correctly, you can skip like a stone along the track and stay airbound. Like, all these cars are so interesting and fun and different, and he's just added new varieties to them. We have new car types now. So it's like, if there is, I mean, there's going to be time trials. There has to be. Like, that alone is enough. But even then, in this one, oh yeah, it's in the checklist, but there isn't a traditional time trial thing like chase this specific time to get the gold medal for this track. Like, it's all like on the checklist board. Like, honestly, at the start, you have nothing on the checklist. You can't even see what it takes to unlock something. You just got to play a little bit. So you just go in a city trial, you do some stuff. A very basic achievement is achieved. You do like break a few boxes. That unlocks it, and then it unlocks clues for the adjacent achievements next to the square you unlocked. And from there, you just branch out and you just unlock more, and then you just continue to work on the checklist board, the achievement board. So like, I really hoped he brings that back, because it's an easy way. Like, it's an easy way to get replayability out of the single player element of that game. So yeah, that's it for Kirby Air Riders. I have no doubts about the polish of the game. I have no doubts about the fun that the core gameplay has to offer. If anything, it looks even more zany. Again, I hope they bring Kirby Air Ride to Switch 2 in some way, shape, or form. Maybe this game does it. Maybe he just brings all, like, this is kind of becomes a remaster of Kirby Air Ride, and then just adds content onto that, so we get all the original tracks. I think we're missing one of the stars, actually. They haven't showed it yet. But other than that, most of the stars seem to be making a return, the machines. So like, while this, dream come true, we also at some point, like, free DLC or like maybe even a paid expansion or something, I don't know, we get Kirby Air Ride. If we don't get the original tracks at launch, it would be sick and a dream if we got like a Kirby Air Ride 1 expansion and it had all the stuff from the original, including the original city trial map with the same graphical presentation, like the low poly look of the GameCube version. Oh, that would be so good, along with the original tracks, because the music for those tracks are fucking fantastic. See, that's the thing. The music was great. The controls feel great. The warp stars, the different machines feel great. City Trial's so much fun. The tracks that are there in the original are a lot of fun. Like, honestly, Kirby Air Ride, its only fault is that it was maybe lacking a little bit of the traditional single player content, and obviously like online experience that just was non-existent in that game. So Kirby Air Riders could be the definitive version of Kirby Air Ride. And I'm kind of hoping it does that either at launch in the base game, or fuck it, even with an expansion. I'll be the goober, or the schmuck that pays $100 for the complete Kirby Air Riders experience with the base game and the DLC. But I need to know. I need to know that there is a substantial or even just a somewhat decent single player element on offer at launch for that game. Otherwise, I won't be there at launch. It'll be disappointing, but it wouldn't justify the $70 for me.